Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that's the case in other countries too.
Python wants me to give them my exact age, which is hard because I never can remember what it is. It's my age plus or minus 2 years.
I'm not quite sure what that function is doing, but I kind of like the name. Module.callPyObject may be promising.
Very specific.
I've seen people use maybe as a convention for things that return booleans or things that are booleans.
It's also commonly used for what Python types call option. If it's or
Optional.
optional, yeah.
I was thinking of Hungarian notation. What's it called?
Hungarian is the old, like the
old
prefix style
Yes.
naming. Yeah. what was his name? Yeah, it's a very Polish name.
I would expect it to be
Hungarian. Sorry. Yes. It's Szymanski or something like that, I think. He was at Microsoft for a long time. I think he's still in the area. Didn't he do?
Simonier.
Yeah. I think he did a company doing some sort of like programmable programming language type thing.
He's chief architect at Microsoft for some time.
Yeah. He was one of the people there very early on when they had the idea of they were going to train these master programmers who would have like teams of minions that they delegated everything to. I know at least when I was
read this before. The name of the notation is a reference to Simonier's nation of origin, and also, according to Andy Hertzfeld, because it made programs, quote, look like they were written in some inscrutable foreign language. Which is not a compliment.
There were still, it was not used in the way it originally had been, but there was still a lot of prefix variable names in Microsoft code base when I was there.
Well, it also makes more sense longer ago when you didn't have an editor that would do inference for you all the time.
Yeah, and it definitely had its merits, but it did end up with prefixes like PWCSTR.
I'm going to head out, but it was great to see everyone. And
thanks for coming.
See you again soon.
Okay. Mail views.
Notation is sometimes extended to C++ to include the scope of the variable.
That I never saw.
G underscore n wheels, global number of
H-wins and LPSCs.
Okay.
Those were really common.
See, I just read this as hound.
That's a handle to a window, I think? Yeah.
Yes.
Strings were even weirder, though, because a bunch of the Microsoft APIs predated Unicode, and then they added a Unicode version of every function, too. And then they added this fake version that just sort of does the right thing depending on how it's, sort of what context you compile it in. And so there's essentially 3 versions of every function in the Windows API, depending on whether you just hope it does the right thing, or you give it a non-Unicode 8-bit string, or you give it a Unicode wide character string.
Sounds like a lot of photo for. Do you want to do this and handle the pagination yourself? Do you want to do this and we'll handle the pagination, but you need to think about it a little, or do you want just all of them?
I also just loved how many things were obviously complete legacy, but no one ever wanted to change them because they were used so many places. It's like pointers were still LPs for long pointer because they predated the time having 32-bit addresses, or 32-bit values were still called double words.
Oh yay, Podcast Hits has a venue.
That's nice.
Officially, we've signed a contract and everything.
Great.
Where will it be?
SFU,
Okay, nice.
same place we were last time in Vancouver.
Okay.
Did you go to Vancouver, Paul?
Yeah, I haven't been to Vancouver before. Or for Podcast Kids.
I could have sworn you had said you'd been to Vancouver.
I've definitely been to Vancouver a lot, just not for Podcast Kids.
I suppose I need to get into the habit of saying SFU Harbor Center.
Okay.
Because SFU itself is mostly not in Harbor Center.
Yeah, it's Burnaby, so
Yeah.
okay, SFU Harbor Center, great.
I think I have enough time that if I actually start thinking about it soon, I may be able to figure out if I can actually go this time.
Oh yeah.
Or at least just make the trip up and see what happens in advance.
I know that it's, well, at least 4 months ago, there was a process. If I remember correctly, the reason it's complicated for you.
So there is a legal process you can go through. It takes forever. From what I've heard, it's kind of a crapshoot whether you'll get through the process without a lawyer if you try and do it on your own. They basically say if you really want it to happen, you should probably just be an immigration lawyer to help you with it. And yes, I totally can do that, but it's kind of a lot of work and likely to cost some money.
I heard that if it's been like
If it's been more
7
than
years, or
I
10
think it's
years,
10 years now. If it's more than 10 years, they call it, you can be deemed rehabilitated. But basically, the way that works is you show up at the border crossing and hope for the best, and they can deem you rehabilitated or not.
maybe find, I was going to say a nice weekend, but there might be a lot of people in line if you find a nice weekend. If you find a really crappy weekend.
One where it's just like a snowstorm.
Yeah.
When the border guard is...
Plus, I can't drive up, so I have to do the train, which means if
That's the real complicating factor.
So if they turn me away, then I'll sit in an immigration cell until they can put me on the next train back.
Nothing's going wrong with immigration cells lately. Right? That'll be fine.
Yeah, will they have room?
It'll be on that side of the border, though. They probably will.
I might then recommend trying to cross the land border from Denmark. So that if you end up in an immigration cell, it will be a Danish one instead.
Yeah, sounds more reasonable.
I assume they've built the border crossing by now. It's been a few years.
Or I could
Sounds
take
like
a
it might be a
boat
little-
to the weird little bit of Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Point Roberts.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And walk across there.
Or just go find a border crossing that's like one of the ones that's not the one at the main one, the Peace Arch, but like one of the other ones in Surrey that's like, less, not gonna have as much traffic.
Yeah. But, I mean,
Oh yeah, then you are gonna have the train. Yeah, never mind. Okay,
yeah, on the train, I don't have any choice. I mean, unless I want to, I think there is a train that goes into Canada somewhere out in Montana or something, but it would be a long train ride.
Yeah.
The Clipper.
Oh yeah.
Again, I think,
But then you have to get from Victoria to Vancouver.
plus, if I get turned away again, you're waiting, because I don't think it turns around right away, does it? Or does it? I think it
I
does.
think it probably
It might,
does. 'Cause
yeah.
It's just past. It's,
Or at least
just one
relatively quickly.
As
Yeah.
long as you don't go for the last one and